Stuck in a room, the protagonist is forced to answer bizarre questions about his personal life and about monstrous and deformed faces of humans he sees on a screen. Meanwhile, he is tormented by horrifying sounds coming from his back, but the problem is, if he turns around and looks, he might see nothing, or actual terrifying monsters who only kill him if he looks at them. Will he survive in this bizarre room and discover the mysteries, or will he face a brutal fate, dying to these horrifying entities? The mysterious protagonist enters a building where he's supposed to take a test, a gig that he's seemingly paid for, as there are other participants who are taking the same test in order for some sort of survey, or at least that's what the protagonist and the other participants presume. The protagonist is rushed through the lobby in order to get to his designated room, where he has to take the test, going through some slides and logging his answers. He is strictly forbidden from talking to the other participants, and it is absolutely forbidden to take any photos or record any part of the facility. A few rules are essential to follow, with one of them being to avoid looking directly into the slide projector with no explanation of why such things matter. The protagonist is then assured that it is just slides and they won't harm him in any way when he leaves, thinking it'll be the easiest money he has ever earned. From now on, I will call the protagonist Kal-El, non-canonically. Managing to find his way with relative ease, he finds himself in a dark room and a massive projector screen with a timer placed on a table where he finds two buttons only, one labeled A being red and the other labeled B being yellow. The A button is typically pressed to answer yes to the test questions and at times to go to the next slide, while the yellow B button is to answer no. With not much information of what he has gotten himself into, Kal-El thinks about the quick buck that he will make at the end of this, and that there is no possible way a harmless series of slides would hurt him. So he confidently calibrates the test using the buttons, starting the test. The first set of slides ask the question if a family is a clock, starting from all of them, then on the individual basis. Then finally showing the image of an actual door, with Kal-El answering that it's a door. A video starts of an obscured figure standing, looking very intimidating. Wake up. A whisper is then followed coming from the side of Kal-El, being way too close to comfort, instructing him to wake up. Kal-El, acting on instincts, turns around to see a monstrous figure with its neck stretching, watching him from behind. Then it soon disappears, giving Kal-El the fright of his life. After being frozen in place, unsure to whether what he just saw was real or just a figment of his imagination, he starts having a bad feeling. Understanding this test is a lot more than what he expected, demanding a lot more from him, if not physically, at least cognitively. Unsure whether the sum of money promised is worth it at this point, he starts calming himself, saying to himself that it was nothing but a creation of his mind due to stress. The test being very bizarre, asking primitive closed-ended questions with images shown on the slides. Kal-El tries to answer them all correctly rather than being sarcastic, when all of a sudden another video plays with a person lying unconscious, when all of a sudden an entity with several legs emerges out of the door as if the unconscious person is its prey, trying to consume or store the human. Meanwhile, Kal-El is horrified to hear footsteps approaching him, with the shadow of a head blocking parts of the projection, with Kal-El this time being too scared to turn around and find out what monstrosity is present behind him. It doesn't take longer than a few seconds when this entity behind Kal-El disappears into the darkness of the room that he is in, seemingly leaving with the segment of the slide coming to an end. It feels as if this pattern is more than just pure imagination, and maybe, just maybe, there are monsters in this room. The slides this time around take a creepier turn, with the people shown being deformed and horrifying, with the presentation asking if they are friends, making Kal-El question himself and what this test is all about and what is the end goal. All these characters shown on the slides are intentionally put there to cause stress and disturbance, but then they might be there for a specific reason. Maybe the participant's psyche is under evaluation. Kal-El dismisses these red flags yet again when it doesn't take much long before he hears footsteps in the real life again. With strange sounds heard, Kal-El manages to finish the strange segment of the slide, with it all of a sudden becoming more personal, asking specifics about what he ate today and if he is alone. The slide then instructs Kal-El not to look behind him if he is scared of the unknown. Kal-El wonders why he even came here, and the feeling of impending doom starts kicking in. Suddenly, a new joystick appears out of the blue, with Kal-El being able to use it. He swears that this button wasn't there for the whole test, and he didn't even notice how it came to be on the desk, as he never left his post. All of a sudden, the shadow of a figure appears on the screen, with the screen instructing Kal-El not to look down, but as he has no other choice for passing the slides, he has to the point that a monster gets closer to him and seemingly kills him. This causes the story to end here, with a blue screen appearing saying that the application has encountered a problem. The texts on the blue error screen have some negative hints that no one is listening and that the protagonist or any participant is doomed. That's when Kal-El awakens in the hall, with it looking extremely claustrophobic now and out of place, with the doors and walls being disproportional and distorted, as if he is in a surreal nightmare. The whisper tells him to wake up as if he is sleeping when he goes corridor to corridor, finding an unconscious person with a hole on its back, with a very fast crawling humanoid leaving his line of sight. At this point, Kal-El wants to wake up, as he subconsciously doesn't want to accept this is all real, putting himself in an actually hellish nightmare, desperately wanting to find a way out. The constant telephone ringing and the flopping sounds of the entity that attacked him previously distress him greatly and make his legs numb. When he manages to find the telephone and pick it up, when he is suddenly transported back to the slides room, with the test seemingly continuing. Terrified that he is back where he started, slowly forgetting how he even got to this place to begin with, as if he has always belonged to this cursed place, he can't deny the fact that he has put himself in a nightmare now. When he answers the question that today has been special, when the story comes to an end, with Kal-El stuck in the room, as if repeating the same loop over and over again. Right off the bat, when Kal-El was instructed to enter the room, he was told to not look at the screen too much. Why would that be? Even at some point, Kal-El starts shaking and having blurry vision when looking at the screen for too long. Does that mean the screen has some sort of supernatural essence, leaving strange effects on the participants? This would explain why the buttons are placed at the bottom, so that the participants don't look at the screen for too long, as they would need to look down, taking their gaze off the screen to press the buttons. There was seemingly one monster in the building as well, if not more, which attacked Kal-El at some point. But instead of dying, Kal-El got teleported into a surreal reality when he got back to the room after finding a ringing telephone, as if the telephone brings him back to reality. There was also a whisper that kept telling Kal-El to wake up, which could essentially mean the protagonist is in a state of deep sleep. So maybe it is just a nightmare. But to think about it, the particular and meticulous design of the room and the building is very specific. So maybe this dream the protagonist is in is simulated and he is in a controlled dream or state of deep subconscious, where they can test his psyche, and the monster lurking around could be the internal demons constantly in battle with him. In one particular question, when the answer of Kal-El is that he's scared of the unknown, the slide instructs him not to look back at the monsters then, which means the monsters could also be the representation of the unknown and fear of one exploring, getting out of the comfort zone. So maybe the entire premise of the game and the organization is deep hypnosis or therapy, where they treat people's anxieties and insecurities, making them face their own monsters or demons. That is why the slides ask such strange and bizarre questions, showing people like monsters, comparing them to inanimate objects, deforming them, asking if they are friends or strangers. The slides also constantly ask personal questions and details about Kale's loneliness and social life, including what he eats and how he takes care of himself. Another hint strongly suggesting that it is a simulation is the blue screen of error, which doesn't appear on the projector screen but the entire reality, depicting that Kal-El is most likely in a deep level of his psyche, being in a simulation accessing his own mind space. The screen appears after the monster manages to get a hold of him, actually from the front, depicting the deep anxiety and issues the protagonist faces. That is why the slides instructed him not to look at the monsters or at his back, as it would only cause the simulation to come to a stop. Finally, after the protagonist goes through the distorted halls and corridors, he picks up a phone where he finds himself back in the room in a flash. So it in a way suggests that he might not be in the real world, especially as it seems the screen is trying a method to help Kal-El, facing his fear and becoming better, when it finally forces Kal-El to say it was a special day and a good day, as if being positive reinforcement. This brings us to the end of the video, folks. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host R, and I will see you on the next video. Have a fantastic day.